July 11th. We're going to open the meeting with petition 971. You want to have that, please?
It should be Tina.
Okay.
What's that?
Tina Cameron should be on there.
On the right-hand side, yeah.
She's up there.
The Halifax Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, July 11th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Board of Selectmen's meeting room at Halifax Town Hall, 499 Plymouth Street, Halifax, on the application by Linda and Raymond Sluhaki, I think I'm saying that right, for a special permit and variance to build a three-car garage and front porch to be located at 175 River Street, Halifax. Said property is owned by Linda J. Sluhaki, Braga of 175 River Street, Halifax, Mass. As shown on Assessor's Map 109, Lot 2C, title reference book number 44072, page 11. The applicant is seeking to construct the addition of a farmer's porch and three-car garage with master suite to an existing home, which would violate the Halifax zoning bylaw section 16711, table of dimensional and density regulations, requiring a variance of the front setback from River Street from 50 feet to 42 feet. This project also violates Halifax zoning bylaw section 16712F4, density regulations for specific uses garage, as its ground floor area exceeds 884 square feet, requiring a special permit. The area is zone residential, and it's petition number 971.
The applicant? You want to tell us what you want to do?
Sure. Pretty much what he was stating. We want to add in a sizable addition for a garage and a second floor master suite. And it's a farmer's porch on the front of the house.
Anybody have any questions?
Is there like a map in one of these things? So the special permit,
One is for the farmer's porch goes like a few feet
okay,
past like what would be considered to the street, or that whatever land is, but you need 50 feet, I guess, before
Yeah.
the street. So it goes over a few feet for the porch, and then the other is just the garage square footage is open and allowed.
yeah, and that's I think a decision by the board based on for the variance of the front. That's what I'm asking for the plot plan, because
It's in there.
because the variance to sort of vary that is a higher hurdle than just a special permit for the size of the garage. Right. Just to kind of.
There's nothing in our front lawn. We have one telephone pole as far as like what's community property, and across the street is not buildable. It's conservation land, so I have no neighbors across the street at all.
That's it on top, yeah. So it looks like the house is actually already, well, maybe it is at 50 feet.
I think it's 50 feet, the existing house. You got 50 there.
Oh, the house is right at the setback, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the placement is very strategic.
So officially to vary the bylaws for that front setback, I think the garage is an easier conversation to have. I don't speak for everybody, but for the variance, you need to have a hardship to be able to vary that. So it has to be the topography of the land, the shape of the lot, which is a little different than normal.
Yeah.
Or something that is unusual that creates a hardship, an undue hardship that nobody else would really have to be able to vary that. So,
Okay.
and that's why I was asking about the plot plan. So is there a reason?
So if
So,
you look at the
Yeah.
layout of the house.
yeah, whatever, yeah.
So we attach the prints here. So the porch would actually be flush with the garage layout.
Okay,
So we have a stool now, like a regular walk-up.
that's the same size?
I believe it might be a few feet short with the steps,
Yeah.
but we had a professional, and she said you need the,
So that's
The
this right here,
variance.
this must be that,
yep.
right?
And see how it lines
Okay,
up
2
with
feet here,
the
yeah.
garage, yeah.
And there's obviously no place to put another farmer's porch.
We can't do anything. The back of the house is literally right up against where the conservation land is, like where the placement of the
Okay.
house, I can't
Oh,
do
so
anything.
this is the back of the house?
Yeah.
And this is the street?
This
is
is the
River
back of
Street.
the house, right? So this is the existing house, this is our porch in the back, so it would be like
What about
this.
side on River Street?
Yes, I'm trying to.
Right on the corner of Wood, so
Wood
where,
and River?
yeah, where that first house like setback. So our land, our plot goes all the way to the corner. So that's the corner of Wood.
Okay. They just recently built that house in the last 10 years or so, right?
Yeah, we've been there about 8 or 9
Yeah.
years. So we couldn't put
Is
anything
this
like on
dropped
the back.
down? Is
No,
that
it's just
why?
wet.
Okay,
It's very wet.
that's important to know.
It's all wet.
Okay.
There's nothing we can do in the back of the house,
Okay.
aside from like
So
where the
that's why,
porch
that's
is.
why you didn't line it up at the front and do everything further back, is because it's wet back there. You can't do it. Okay. that's-
Same thing with like the garage, we couldn't set that back. It's-
Okay.
And we need a foundation for that, because it does, our property
Yeah.
does drop down here.
Because the river's back there, right?
Yeah, so our house right now is, this portion of our house is raised and both sides have retaining walls.
Yeah.
So to put the garage in on this side, we have to take down the retaining wall and have a foundation that
Oh.
high up to the house. It's actually quite
So
large of
to
a
do that would be
foundation.
an undue hardship.
Yeah.
on you.
The whole thing is
So I
a
am asking all these questions,
hardship.
yeah.
I mean, it looks like the house is right on the 50-foot mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Right,
really
as far as
placed
the
right
garage,
Yeah,
you
there.
can't go any further back.
Exactly,
They already
yeah.
have that wall, yeah.
Well, the garage is gonna be over 900 feet.
But in that same neighborhood, on the corner of River and Pratt Street, we approved a garage that was bigger than 80
Right.
a couple of years back, so it's
There's
not out
quite a
of
few
character.
large
There's
houses
barns
on
in the
there
area and
now.
stuff.
It is,
too.
it's not- Yeah, there's
No,
that
that's
barn right
not-
over there.
And the house on Pratt that I love so much, and I wish they would sell because I'd buy it.
So we're on camera.
Sorry, guys. But it's beautiful and it's huge. So
Yeah.
I think we're right in the market of what our neighbors are. I think we're just making a standard colonial into something a little more luxurious.
And I mean, the size of the garage isn't necessarily because of that setback, I mean, they are.
So the hardship is that they can't go,
Can't go back.
you can't go further back because of the
Right.
conservation.
And they wouldn't be able to add that
No.
porch, they
No.
didn't do that.
What's the blood of the board? You guys wanna do an onsite or you wanna?
I've seen it down by that house a bajillion times, I think. Not in an awkward way. I just drive down there all the time. It's on my way to work.
It's a popular road, more
It
than 5
is.
foot on the end
It's-
there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ken?
No, I think she's got, she's fine. She's got the hardship on it. Conservation land, they can't move the garage any other way. And the house is right on the 50-foot mark. I mean, there's not much they can do about it. You know, as far as the size of the garage is concerned, I don't think there's a big problem. It fits the neighborhood, it's not taking anything away from it either.
How big's the lot, do you know?
I hope, I don't know.
Say somewhere.
It's like a little over an acre, maybe closer to 2.
Okay.
So most of it.
Yeah. I could waive the onsite. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I'm all right.
You wanna waive the onsite? Anybody wanna make a motion to waive the
I'll
onsite?
make a motion to waive the onsite for petition
971.
971. Thank you.
I'll second.
And who's gonna vote on, are they on?
It looks like Daniel.
Tina's,
Tina's
Tina's
awake,
on.
yeah. And Tina's on.
Dan,
Can she hear us?
Tina?
Yes.
What do you think about 971? Would you like to waive the onsite?
No. I mean, excuse me, yes, that's fine.
Tina?
I don't know, she,
Well, we need,
4 votes, right? Okay.
we have a motion, we have a second.
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Yes.
Myself, yes. And Dan?
I think he said earlier, yes.
You did.
Yeah, I'm not voting, correct?
Yes,
Oh,
Regina.
there we go.
There's you go. All right, it passes. Now, we're gonna make a motion to accept
Yeah.
Well,
971.
any butters?
Yeah.
Anybody in the audience?
It's okay.
Wanna
There's all sorts of stuff going on here.
That was really weird.
Anybody in the audience want to make a comment?
All right, that's very good news around here.
We have a motion to
It
accept
seems,
971?
it seems to me like the garage is within the character of the established neighborhood. It doesn't derogate from the intent of the bylaw based on the lot that they have. The topography of the land seems to warrant a hardship that would indicate that a variance would be acceptable. So I will move to accept petition 971 as presented.
Second.
Tina?
Yes.
You?
Yes.
Yes.
Myself, yes. And it passes.
Thank you. Is there anything I need to do?
So it will go to Arlana, she can walk you through the whole process.
She'll
Yeah.
process everything for you.
There's an appeal period for 20 days, and then the registry of deeds, she can walk you through the whole process. But there's a little bit of a wait period, and then you're good to go. Right? I say that right? In a very short form, she got all sorts of stuff. She knows way more than me.
Are you all set?
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
There's a speed bump somewhere.
Next is petition 792 for an in-law comment.
Halifax zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, July 11th, 2022 at 7:05 PM in the Board of Selectmen meeting room at Halifax Town Hall, 499 Plymouth Street, Halifax, on the application by Wendy Corcoran for a special permit to build an in-law apartment to be located at 792 Old Plymouth Street, Halifax. Said property is owned by Wendy Corcoran of 792 Old Plymouth Street, Halifax, as shown on Assessor's Map 48, Lot 24, Title Reference Book 41933, page 100. The applicant is seeking to build an in-law apartment which requires a special permit in accordance with Halifax zoning bylaw 167-7D12, Schedule of Use Regulations, Specific Use Regulations. Area is zoned commercial business. Petition is number 972.
Ms. Cochran? You want to stand up and tell us what you want to do?
As he just said, he'd like to build a small in-law apartment for my mom who moved in with us about a year ago. And we really don't, it's a 3-bedroom house, so it's only 1,500 square feet. It's really been hard for us all this past year. So we really would love to be able to, for her to have her own space. She moved in because she has 2 bad knees and she's fallen when she was living in Kingston and couldn't get up. And I'm a teacher, I work at Bridgewater Regional High School, so it's hard to just say, I gotta run, I got an emergency. So I just wanted her closer to me and she needs anything, I'll be there. And we always kind of dreamed of this, so I'm just hoping that you guys will approve it. If we stayed within the limits, I tried to follow all the guidelines. It's about 640 square feet, I think. I think it's 2542. Sorry about that, but
So what are you,
No,
what
you're-
what are you sharing with your mom? You
Uh,
have to have a, you know,
Shared utilities, yeah.
shared utilities.
yes, my shared utilities and, yeah. That we have, joint space, 6 foot open.
No, we always requested that the open end will stay open, not closed, and so it will not become, income producing, you
No,
know.
no,
And that's what, you
even
know,
if,
would
well,
you?
when,
yeah.
you know, the time comes, I mean, I have an autistic son who could use that as time goes on. It would definitely just be a family place, and I hope to retire there and then give the main part of the house to my kids and have them take over after that.
Would you be willing to accept that we have that as a condition that
Oh,
the,
yes,
that
that's
it
fine. I
stays
would-
open, not with
Yeah,
flowers
I
and
don't
closed?
want it to be anything about the
I mean, we always ask the applicant that if they accept to do that, you know?
yeah, no, I don't want it to be anything about it. I just want it to be there.
I'm not looking at my phone, I'm looking at the bylaw to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I always feel bad for people that are just texting and not listening to. I'm listening. So, so you, are all utilities shared? Is it, all you need to have is one major
I
utility?
think we just have one major. I'm
Okay.
not sure. Well, yeah, well, maybe the cable, things like that we'd share.
Is it like electric is on one?
Yeah, the electric thing.
Heating,
I think the heating, they're gonna have like, one of those wall, things we put in for heating and cooling for her. So, we would share electric and,
Well,
you know,
the-
like the AC, you know how
the
you
heating
have-
bill and the electric bill will be under one name.
Oh, well, yeah, because that would be electric, so it'll just be under my.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
that's-
shared
that's a
utility, so it's everything is
utility.
just going under one name.
Yeah.
And you mentioned shared living space. Is there, what is the shared living space?
Yes, it's a
Looks like maybe
typical
a living room.
colonial where you, the main front door, you walk in, the stairs are there, and there's kind of like a living room on the left and the dining room's on the right. So on the living room, would there be a 6-foot opening?
Yeah,
So it'll be kind of like a big living room.
so that living room is the cathedral ceilings, is that what we're talking about? It's well
We
labeled.
designed it.
So that's a shared living space, okay. Shared entrance too, that front door entrance goes into both, because that's a
Well,
shared
we
living
just-
space.
She always wanted a farmer's porch, so we just put a farmer's porch on it, so she could go in either way. But probably don't mind just because of the way, I don't know how to walk with her.
She can go in however she wants, that's
Oh,
not.
okay.
It's, so the area is of the in-law apartment, is it should be no larger than 50% of the original
Oh,
living
okay.
space, so I don't know,
I think she said it was 600 something,
yeah.
32, yeah,
And the
640. How big is the house?
original is like 1,500, so.
Let's see, you're good, it's 615.
600 square feet, so.
Yep.
I mean, isn't that 50% of 900, whichever is larger?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or 900, yeah.
That's what they, yeah.
Yep.
Anybody else? Anybody from the audience wants to speak to this petition?
I think we have a letter from an
Yeah,
abutter.
that's right, yeah.
This one here.
Yeah.
It's from Gary Ellis.
Can I read it?
Yeah.
Great.
I think he's in favor of it.
Yeah, I think this is positive, I don't think it's negative. Dear Board of Appeals, Wendy Corcoran bought the property, pays for the property, and can do whatever she wants with her property. I would never, they get better. I would never try to stop her or tell her what to do on her property. I wish I could afford an in-law apartment or addition. Signed Gary Ellis. So I think I would say that's in favor, yeah?
On-site? On-site?
On-site, is the one that waived the on-site?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to waive the on-site for petition 972.
Second?
Yeah.
Yes, I vote yes.
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 Myself, yes. Tina or Dan? No, you don't.
I'm not voting.
He's not voting.
All right. Tina?
And abstains. This for us, you know, I think. There we go.
Yes,
Hey.
You want to waive the
to
on-site?
waive the on-site inspection.
There we go.
What'd you say?
She said
Yes.
yes.
Yes. All right. It passes 5-0. You make a motion to accept 972?
I'll make a motion to accept petition 972 as presented.
Second?
Tina?
Yes,
Jerry?
Yes.
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 And myself, yes. It passes 5-0. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Sounds like she's engaged with my baseball.
That goes with it. Yeah, I think she's at a softball game. You.
Next petition is 973 of Joseph Keel. Cranberry Drive, 145 Cranberry Drive.
The Halifax zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, July 11th, 2022 at 7:10 PM in the Board of Selectmen's meeting room at Halifax Town Hall, Halifax, Mass. On the application by Joseph Keogh to appeal and overturn the building inspector and zoning enforcement officer's determination dated May 16th, 2022. Said property is owned by Joseph Keogh of 145 Cranberry Drive, Halifax, Mass. 02338, as shown on Assessor's Map 49, Lot 45S, Title Reference Book 54566, page 62. Per the building inspector ZEO, quote, after numerous visual inspections from Cranberry Drive, this office has determined that you are utilizing your residence as a light industrial use and storage. Your residence is zoned AR, and according to Chapter 167.7 Schedule of Use Regulations, this use is prohibited in the AR zone. Furthermore, your business does not qualify as a customary home business, or professional office or studio, as the business does not operate within the dwelling. You are hereby ordered to cease and desist from the light industrial use and storage at 145 Cranberry Drive. You are further ordered to remove all commercial vehicles and equipment stored at the property within 30 days of this letter, or you may be subject to a fine of up to $300 per day per violation, end quote. Per the applicant, quote, we seek to overturn Mr. Perry's determination. Mr. Keogh runs a Title V inspection business. He is a sole proprietor with no employees. There are no signs for business. Mr. Keogh's only mode of transportation is one of his 2 personally owned dump trucks. His numerous pieces of equipment are stored on the job site primarily. There is no increased vehicular traffic, only Mr. Keogh going to work and coming home during the evening. Mr. Perry has set a precedent with his previous determination at 688 Plymouth Street stating there was no violation regarding another contractor with larger and more numerous pieces of equipment and trucks, end quote. The applicant is appealing the building inspector's determination in accordance with the Halifax zoning bylaw section 167.7C, table of use regulations. The area is zoned residential, and it is petition number 973.
Mr. Keel here?
Yep, you understand?
Tell us what you,
Yes, hi everybody, I'm Joe Keogh. I just moved here the last year. This is my first full year in town. I'm a sole proprietor, I have no employees. Like you said in the appeal, You know, my primary mode of transportation is one of my 2 dump trucks. The equipment is primarily stored on the job. I've been working on the yard, we just had 30 trees taken down last year. On the weekends, sometimes I have a small machine there, a small excavator, bobcat, spreading mulch. I'm not really sure what I want to do with the property in question down in the bottom. I've been filling it a little bit, like sometimes from my jobs, extra fill go down the bottom. Been thinking about making like an area for my kids. I mean, we haven't really decided because we have so many things up in the air, but I'm not running a business out of here. I go home, or I wake up in the morning, I leave with my truck, come back at the end of the day, and I mean, that's about it. I mean, I'm not having people meet me there, I'm not selling materials there, I'm not really storing materials there. I have my tools there, but there's no increased traffic. I leave and I come back at night, so. And as I said, I mean, Mr. Perry, I don't know Mr. Perry, and I don't know the applicant who was over at 688. I know that Mr. Perry set a precedent with more equipment over there, saying that, you know, it's his yard, he can park whatever he wants there, you know, and, you know, not in violation. Everything's personally owned, so.
Mr. Perry, you went to the site?
I drove by.
What did you see?
10-wheel dump truck, 1-ton dump truck, mini excavator, trailer, skid steer loader, piles of materials, stone dust and stuff of that nature. I have photographs, I have aerial photographs, timed every quarter. I sent Mr. Q a letter, the first letter, just kind of to break the ice with him. That kind of went by the wayside. Then I received a business certificate application that we got from the town clerk. With the business certificates, the town clerk also includes a questionnaire regarding home businesses, which Mr. Keel stated that he would not have any supplies or products on the premises or any evidence of a business from outside the residence, which is not truthful. As you can see by the photos that I'll give you in a second. Mr. Keel states that he's a Title V examiner. Mr. Keel is not licensed in the town of Halifax to inspect Title V's according to the Board of Health. He is, however, licensed to install septic systems, which I think is primary, pretty much what he's doing. He's got a decent sized excavator that I've seen on other jobs. I have three septic system applications that he's done in the last year. I also have a trench permit that was pulled on the 29th from South Street, installing a water line. And his neighbor's deck is about 100 feet from where he stores his equipment. And these are the dated aerial photos. This one here is on 4/12/20 before Mr. Keel bought the residence. The next one down,
Hold them up.
there's 2 sets here.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Well, I think there's 2 sets here.
Some to the back of here, and then there's another back there, maybe.
There's only one there? Or there's 2 sets? Yeah.
This is all stapled together.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's see what I got. So that was when he didn't own the residence, as you can see. The next one is 8 days after he purchased the residence, as you can see.
You say they're the same ones?
Yeah, it was,
Oh,
it's okay.
this is prior? This is the one prior to him
That's
purchasing?
the one before he owned the
Yeah.
property. That's 8 days
8
after
days
he
after.
purchased the property. And then you can see every quarter. The dates are on the bottom left.
Yeah.
view from his neighbor's house. This basically shows the 100-foot mark from the neighbor's deck to where he stores his equipment. The other thing I'd like to speak to is his referral to the property at 688 Plymouth Street. To me, that's apples and oranges. That gentleman lived in his property for 35 years. 4 building inspectors before me didn't do anything about it. My ruling was that it wasn't legal, but it was grandfathered. Okay? There's more photographs here if you want to see them. I think you get the idea.
Well, Mr. Keo, this is a residential neighborhood. And what we see here is, I mean, you got a dump truck, a big triaxle, a 10-wheeler, an excavator. It doesn't fit in the property in where you're living. And it's kind of hard to not see what's going on, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, does that mean that I'm not entitled to, like, work on my own yard as well? Because
Well,
that's exactly what happened, is I cleared the trees, and then, you know, I've been working on the yard.
You can work on the yard, but the equipment,
Does that mean I have to take them out, like, right away when I'm working on them? Because usually this equipment's on the job. So, I mean, obviously he went through, found pictures of, like, when my stuff is there, as opposed to when it's not, and presented it. It's not like, why would all my equipment just be parked continually all the time?
where do you usually park your equipment?
Usually it stays on the job, or it can be at my uncle's place in Situate. Like, I have a big excavator. I don't bring my big excavator here. I don't bring my big trailer here. I mean, I definitely am not running my business. I have the little machines sometimes there, you know, if I'm
But
working.
this, you know, the picture's worth 1,000 words,
Yeah,
and this is not, you're doing a small job.
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that I do do
It's,
small
This
jobs.
is where you live,
Yeah,
and it shows that there's the equipment that's in here. I don't know what you're doing there, I haven't been to the site, but from what the building inspector, you know, is saying, that you're parking it there every night.
no.
Well,
Like, if you were to go by there right now, I mean, there's not anything there except for my little truck. That's my only mode of transportation.
I don't think, I won't speak for Mr. Tempesta, but I don't think he has an issue with a one-ton dump truck.
one time,
That he uses to
everybody
go to
drives
work
one
back.
down.
I mean,
just,
I don't think that's an issue at all, but I'll let him speak if he'd like to.
Members of the board, anybody have something to say?
And one more thing to say, the last meeting, 688 Plymouth Street, I indicated to the board at that time that if we didn't want these things to happen in the future, that we need to nip it at the bud. And that's what we're doing here.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Yes, Tom.
Wow. Well, I can't believe what I'm hearing here. I mean, Mr. Perry brought up 688. 688 applied in 1987 for a special permit, and they were denied to run a business out of there. That's forever. He ignored it. He ignored equipment, massive amount of equipment. It looks from the street like they store materials there. I warned him about this at the time. This is completely 180 degrees opposite of his ruling on 688. We've allowed people to park equipment on Carter Street. This has really never been an issue before with the board, and I just can't believe with that ruling he previously made. I really question the motives here. I don't know what's going on, but this is 180 degrees opposite of what he said. And I don't remember him saying that what was, happening on 688 was illegal. He said there was nothing there, as I recall.
Said it was
So it
grandfather.
sounds like he's changing his story.
Well, Mr. Perry said it was grandfathered, whether it was grandfathered or not, I wasn't here, and what year was it, 68? I don't know.
I wasn't here.
Well, what is he saying that's grandfathered?
The guy's been there for 35 years. Four previous building
Yeah,
inspectors,
so-
four previous building inspectors didn't do a thing about it, okay?
That's
So now you wanna
because they
throw the guy
weren't
out of his
given
yard
notice
after 35
as you were.
years? Apples and
You were given
oranges.
notice. That's the
Apples and
difference.
oranges. Apples and oranges.
Listen, all I'm saying is,
Oh, my
I'm new
God.
to town.
Mr. Keo,
Like Dan's
Go ahead,
getting
Dan.
off track.
Dan,
Yes.
go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, it's obvious what's going on. I mean, again, changing the story, changing the narrative, I just don't get it. I have my suspicions, but that's all I can say.
Anybody else from the board?
I guess my question is, because you talk about his business stuff, right? And I don't know what any of this stuff is. Like, I don't know. I also don't have that stuff going on at my house. So like how, and so I was like reading your letter, I was reading the quote, which is probably from that same letter. How is he conducting the business at the residence? Like what it seems like is something's going on back there that is disruptive, right? Or to some effect. But like, I'm wondering like how this stuff is related to the septic installation or something that you mentioned. How did that connection get there?
So, he's claiming he's a Title V examiner. I know a lot of people that inspect Title Vs. All they need is a shovel and some small equipment to go out and dig up the septic system and inspect it,
Mhm.
write a report. Okay. He is doing
So you're gonna be
heavy
storing
construction.
that stuff
He's
there.
storing his equipment
Okay.
there, and he's doing heavy construction with it. I'm not against the guy making a living, but
Mhm.
it's a residential neighborhood, there's a lot of children in that neighborhood, and they're all expensive homes, and, you know, you give an inch, they take a foot, and the next thing you know, he's gonna have, two dump trucks, two 10-wheelers there, maybe a tractor. And then what are we gonna do?
Mr. Keel, you mentioned that you're doing work out back on your yard.
Yeah.
Do you have a timeline on that, as to what you're doing?
I mean, we're just kind of laying the groundwork. Before it was a big divot, you know, and I've been kind of filling it as I went, you know, and we're not really sure what we're gonna do with the yard, but like I said, we took down 30 trees, up top, down bottom, all around, you know, I'm not a big fan of trees, like, I mean, there's plenty in the woods, I don't want them right next to my house. So, I mean, we're just kind of checking to see, like me and my wife, about like what we're gonna do. I had a bobcat there one day, spread mulch that I bought, you know, on a weekend. I mean, are you saying that like I can't do those kind of things, like at my own place? Because, I mean, my equipment is on the job. Like, its primary place is on the job site. Yes, I'm a septic installer, but when I filled out the business certificate years ago in Pembroke, when I first started, not that long ago, Title V inspections, that's what I started, and that's what it was, you know, and so I just transferred it over here.
I think we're more interested in as to what you're doing there. I mean, one dump truck, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot more equipment there. If you have a time frame that you're looking at, if you're doing work out in the backyard, I mean, are you only taking fill that you've got from different job sites, bringing it there? Or do you see something that you're gonna complete this year within 3 months or 4 months? Or-
I mean, you know, possibly in the future I might build a garage there. I mean, you know, depending
I'm only
on...
I don't care what you're gonna build, I'm talking about equipment. You're using this equipment, I can see a dump truck, so you're bringing fill for the back of it.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got a small
I mean, I'm
tractor
more or
there.
less filled completely. I have some stone that, you know, we're gonna redo part of the driveway, do like a drainage system, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, it's kind of like whenever I can do it, because I'm usually working like almost 7 days a week now, and I'm not really home very much, so,
Yeah, but I think we're trying to get a feel for
yeah.
what you're gonna have on that site for equipment, because you can't have all that equipment there.
No, and it's not there all the time. I usually take one truck to the job, and you know, depending on my situation, like I had the 10-wheeler the other day, and I took the 10-wheeler home instead of my little truck. You know, and it's primarily my transportation to and from work.
Where is your primary, where do you house these trucks? Where do you put them at? Let's say in the wintertime, where do you put them?
I have my truck, my little truck usually stays with me, and my big truck goes to Situate.
And what about the excavators?
The big excavator is usually, I have a friend that I'm leaving the big excavator, and I have the trailer will go to Situate.
So all this equipment that we see here, the only thing you're gonna have is your little dump truck.
Sometimes I have the little excavator with me and the little Bobcat. I have the little Bobcat to plow the driveways.
But how many pieces of equipment are there at one time?
It can be one truck to 3. One truck to one little excavator, one Bobcat, and it could switch out with the big dump truck, possibly, depending on whatever I take home from there.
So that area back there, you're planning on clearing out and leveling out?
Yeah, I've already cleared it, and I'm in the process of kind of leveling it.
Okay. And I don't know what that process takes. They're just, and I think the same point that everybody else is making, it seems like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So is like I'm seeing for months, almost a year maybe, I'm seeing like long poles and blue tanks and stuff like that I'm not entirely sure if that has anything to do with leveling that off. It does look, when you look at this, that there's an accumulation of stuff that doesn't necessarily, and I'm not a guy who would know, but doesn't necessarily have anything to do with leveling off land that's been there for a long period of time. And it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility that some of that might be some storage from your business, which is specifically light industrial use and storage, with that neighborhood isn't for. So is that stuff not that?
Am I allowed to see?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Like you can kind of see a lot in this picture. There's like in March and April, there's this stuff here, and it seems to have been in the same spot.
This is the top right here that was from the previous owner, and these are all wood. This stuff here, this is a shed that was here. My plow's there. I have traffic cones.
What isn't there now?
What isn't there now?
Like what all this.
I mean, this is still here. I mean, basically, it's kind of just, I don't know, a lot of this
So
stuff is here.
if we do
This stuff is here. I mean, I've been trying to organize it over time, but. It looks like, you know.
And you can see some of the stuff, like you can't, that's kind of from behind, I don't want to be a nudge here, but like there's these white pillars here have been here, like this round stuff back here has been here for a while. Like when you look, they're there for kind of multiple
I'm not even
months.
sure what that is,
Yeah.
but these are like shovels and stuff like that.
Okay. It's a lot of shovels.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
are
Yes,
the
Dan.
materials on the property for the property or for his business?
And I think that's the question, yeah.
If there's any materials there at all?
Mr. Keel, the materials that are on property, are they for your home or for your business?
A lot of it's for my home. I mean, a lot of it's for the underground drainage that I plan on doing. And I mean, I have shovels and such, you know, kicking around that I will put in the truck and take to the job.
So you wouldn't have, you wouldn't mind if we go do an on-site inspection of the property?
You can.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll remind the board that to get the address put on Carter Street for well over a year, maybe even closer to 2. I don't even know if it's done yet. But there was all kinds of construction that the neighbors complained about. Not construction, but landscaping, quote unquote, that was going on that this board okayed and okayed the equipment on there. I think we may have set restrictions. We'd have to go back and look. But again, we got to be fair. And if it's okay, and apples and oranges is a bunch of crap. This is exactly the same, and everybody knows it. We have to be fair, and that's the most important thing, is we have to be consistent. You know, we're going to open ourselves up for litigation if we're not. And we can't allow it for Howard Street, we can't allow it for Plymouth Street. You know, I have my own interpretations of zoning, and you know, you can ask any attorney, use. There is no grandfather employees. Apparently our building inspector doesn't, the zoning enforcement officer doesn't know that.
I sent you a memo contrary to that.
I'm talking, and that's just a fact. And so, we have to be consistent at the board.
Well, we're gonna do an on-site inspection of this property. We're gonna do, make a date so we can go on the on-site inspection and see what's going on over there, and we'll take care of it after that. Other than that, we can't make a judgment on this
Dan,
by seeing the pictures.
specifically your point, like the first thing I thought of when we started this was that Carver Street situation, and every application is supposed to stand on its own merits and whatnot, but I think even in that Carver Street, that was a tense hearing, and they had some stuff back there that they probably shouldn't have, and we came to a conclusion. They came back here asking for something else probably within the last year, and that same neighbor who was aggrieved 5 years ago is now speaking on their behalf. So I'm hoping that we can find some sort of figure out
Also,
what's
Carver
going
Street,
on.
I think he had a plan of attack and what he wanted to do with the
Yeah,
yard and timeframes and all
we
that.
set up a
Right.
whole
I
system.
think that was the same thing. I think the neighbors got together and
Yep.
they squared everything away. And that was a big
Agreed.
deal. Yeah.
Mr. Tempest would like to speak to the board.
What's that?
Your neighbor, Mr. Tempest, would like to speak to the board.
There's probably a lot of people that want to speak to the board, so, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we've opened that up.
And my wife will leave me alone,
Go ahead.
huh?
Is it time?
Yeah, you can.
Let's have our hearing.
So I understand these meetings are business as usual for all of you, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak out on our own behalf. But for us, this is anything but business as usual. Because I don't want to forget anything, I hope it's okay if I refer to my notes. Actually, read from my notes. Other than the fact that signs are not posted on the Keogh's residential property, the basis for this appeal is not true. And I'd like to address them as they're listed. Workers, whether they're full-time, part-time, or seasonal, whether being declared or not, workers are indeed coming to this property to load, to pick up, and to drive Keogh equipment. Whenever there's multiple pieces of equipment that are needed on a job, those workers are starting their day there. Mr. Keogh has a multiple of heavy equipment, and all of these vehicles are branded with his corporate name. He has a 10-wheel dump truck. He's got a smaller landscaper type truck, which is large in itself. He has larger and smaller backhoes, I guess those are the excavators. He's got a commercial flatbed trailer that's used for hauling that equipment, bobcats, snow plows. On the property, there are construction materials such as the hazard cones, heavy chains, all sorts of job waste, pipes, etc. He's got piles of dirt and rock. They don't move. None of these move. The trees are being removed to make way for all of his equipment and for the rubble. All of these are permanently parked at his residential driveway. There are no other permanent address that this construction contractor company uses since he's lived here. Those trucks are absolutely being prepared for work directly in his driveway. The large commercial pickup truck rumbles and it idles. They beep constantly as they're backing up time and again to hitch up the trailer. He has noisy tailgates, they're opening and they're closing. At the end of every workday, it's the same thing. Tools, changed, piping, they're all being unloaded and dumped onto the pavement, and the noise travels. Keogh Contracting is promoted by his signs and his advertisements as a Pembroke commercial business. He's parking and storing all of its equipment. It's branded with the company name, and it's in a Halifax residential neighborhood. Cranberry Drive is zoned a residential neighborhood. Next week, we'll have lived in our home in this neighborhood for 30 years. Throughout these 30 years, we've transformed our little lot and our home into a pleasant residence through much time, money, and energy. All of this is done by us. We're trying to protect the sanctity of our home and the value of our property, as well as the enjoyment of being out in our yard. Because our home is situated higher than Keogh Contracting, it's as though we're looking over to a commercial work site, a sand and gravel pit, and it's not going to improve. It continues getting worse. This situation certainly seems non-conforming. Regarding 688 Plymouth, I can't speak to that other than it's likely been 25 years or more. It's been for as long as I can remember. It's not a new situation. It's on a very busy state road, and it's not on a quiet residential street. Further to that, though, I'd like to say we've just paid off our mortgage, and the idea is we're supposed to be able to enjoy our property and anything but. I appreciate that you'll go out, you'll set a time and a date. He's already very crafty, and he's already being very mindful of not keeping this all at the site at any given time.
The only
And
thing
you'll find it better.
we can do right now is do an on-site inspection, see what's going on, then we'll come back probably next month and we'll take care of it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anybody else wants to speak? Mr. Curtin?
Tony Curtin, 640 Plymouth Street. How does a property get grandfathered? Who does it? Where is it recorded?
Mass General Law.
Where?
40 section
He's
7.
got to address the chair. He's got to do that, because then every time that happens, it creates people talking
Through the
across
chair.
the meeting.
What's that?
Through the chair.
He's got to be recognized when he
Yes.
speaks too.
Mr.
Because
Perry.
he's recognizing abutters, he's butting in and yelling at people. You got to be recognized to speak. We got to
Yelling at anybody.
we got to keep this. We got to keep
Mr.
this.
Perry, go ahead.
Through the chair, I'm not yelling at anybody. Mass General Law, I stated it in my letter to you on 688. Mass General Law, Section 40, Section 7, Chapter 40, Section 7.
And what does that say? Because I don't have that in front of me.
I can't read it verbatim, I'll get you a copy if you'd like one.
Well,
Through the chair.
The only thing we're gonna do right now, we're gonna go on an on-site inspection, inspect this property, then we'll render the decision afterwards. Other than that, we can't, as a board, we don't know what's going on over there. We have to go look at it. That's the only thing we can do. I mean, anybody else from the,
Yes.
state your name?
My name's Lou Tempest, I live next door to this. Look, we moved to Cranberry Drive, it was a fantastic neighborhood. You know, everyone respected everyone, they took care of their property and all this. We've been there for 30 years. We planted every bush and tree in our yard. Anything you see in that yard, we planted, we maintain, we take care of it. I just recently retired, and to see what is going on next door, and this isn't temporary. All winter, those trucks were there every day. He wasn't working all that much. They were there, and I got those pictures in March. It's constant. All you do is hear the backup people. He throws the sand and gravel, then he loads his truck in the morning with a little Bobcat and takes it off in the big pickup or the small. It's constant. Those trucks do not move. I'm sure when you guys go down there, they will be gone, but it's there all the time.
The only thing
And
we-
we have a beautiful yard that we take care of, and now we have to see this, and if we decide to downsize, we're gonna lose so much money with that field.
The only thing we can say to you right now is we're gonna go on an on-site inspection to the property,
Yep.
then that's the only thing we can do right now.
And who's this gentleman? What-
That is
What's your name?
about,
Curtin,
Curtin.
640 Plymouth Street.
Oh, okay.
that's the only thing we can do right now is, you know, as a board, make an on-site inspection, and
Yeah,
next month we'll,
and to be honest, he hasn't done one thing to that yet.
so
So,
we can't do anything right now.
I know, but
Sorry.
that's what he's saying he's doing.
Months of-
Could I have
Maureen,
one more?
would you?
Yes,
In
can you,
addition to this one scheduled appointment,
we'll find that out. Next,
In
our next
addition to-
meeting, we're gonna do an on-site inspection, we'll
but
be at it.
the question is, in addition to that, do we do random drive-bys to see that this is what we say? it is?
We can, individually, we can drive by and see the property and stuff like
Thank you,
that.
appreciate all of that.
No problem. Yes, what's your name, please?
My name is Maureen Thayer. I live at 127 Cranberry. I'm 2 doors away from Mr. Keogh's house. And there is a lot of noise. I'm 2 doors away, but I can still hear the noise. I can still hear the trucks. And I feel bad for the Tempesters because they have taken very good care of their property, and now this is what they hear and this is what they see. They have direct eyesight into that lawn. I'm 2 doors away. I don't see it, but I hear it.
Thank you. Members of the board? Anybody else wants to speak? Well, make an on-site inspection.
Make a motion for an on-site inspection for petition 973.
When's our next meeting?
Before-
July 13th, so July 11th,
August?
August.
August, today's July.
Wait, I can't, that's on Thursday.
Huh?
Tina,
No, next meeting, August 8th.
August 8th, so it's.
Yes.
August 6th.
you're good with that? The on-site inspection?
Yeah, I think we should definitely do that.
Dan?
Yes.
And that's Summer Smash.
I don't know.
Jerry?
That's a sad one.
9 o'clock?
On-site?
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
Yes,
It'll be 9 o'clock, August, what?
6th?
August 6th.
August
You get,
6th.
you're all right with that?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I probably won't even remember, but do I have to be there?
It's on
You
your
have to
property,
be-
so
You
you
have
might want
to be
to.
there.
I have to be there.
You'll have to be there.
August 6th?
August 6th, you have to show us what's going on. and,
Okay.
If that day
We
doesn't
have
work,
to-
we could reschedule it.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Take a look,
Pennsylvania.
you can, yeah.
But your neighbors have the right to know what's going on in your, around them.
Okay, yep.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion
Yeah.
for petition 973 to continue it till our August 8th meeting.
Six,
Do we have a time? 7? 7 o'clock? Second? Anybody?
second that.
Yes.
Do we need to
Yes.
continue it to the onsite?
Huh?
Where's it going on
Do we need to
outside?
continue it to the
No,
onsite?
we continued it to the next meeting, but we made a motion for the onsite.
Oh, we already voted.
Yeah,
Oh, they already said yes.
Good, all right.
yes. Tina?
Right on? We're good for the onsite?
Peter?
Peter
We're
second.
lost in here, we have two motions. Just looked at it, 6 years and 10 years. Yeah, we put them in
Want to
five.
leave them for now?
Yeah.
We'll put them in five.
They don't want.
Okay, that's fine.
Jim, you can still continue to overview the site if you want. You're still
Yeah.
part of this here, so I mean, we're going for a month. We're gonna inspect it on August 6th, but in the same notion, you can continue to do your on-site checkups on it too, so we know what's going on.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. You guys are all set with me?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep, good night, thank you.
Well, next petition is number 974.
The Halifax Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, July 11th at 7:15 in the Board of Selectmen meeting room at Halifax Town Hall, 499 Plymouth Street, Halifax, Mass. On the application by Clement Fillion for a special permit and variance to build a storage garage to be located at 35 Crystal Lake Road, Halifax, Mass. 02338. Said property is owned by Clement L. and Robin M. Fillion of 35 Crystal Lake Road, Halifax, as shown on Assessor's Map 11, Lot 32, Book 18437, page 229. The applicant is seeking a special permit to construct a 28 by 36-foot storage garage building, as this project would violate Halifax zoning bylaw 167-12F4 density regulations for specific uses due to the proposed garage building being in excess of 884 square feet. This project would also be in violation of Halifax zoning bylaw 16711, table of dimensional and density regulations on the town of Halifax requiring a variance of the front setback from 50 feet to 40 feet. Area is zoned residential, and it is petition number 974.
Who's here today? Would you tell us what you want to do?
Hi, I've got an unusual plot plan, the lake behind me, a little pond. And so I got, I don't have a topographical map, but I've got a lot of the yard in the back that drops off down the hill. It's unusable. And I found the best spot that I can put it. It's really the only spot that'll fit. I have a utility pole, actually I got two utility poles in my yard, and one of them is right in the way to bring it away from the street to be 50-foot setback to meet that criteria. So my pole, which is owned by the utility company, is directly in the way. There's rules about having to be far enough away from the primary lines above. So I was in restriction with that, trying to keep it. So I actually reduced the size of the building to see if I can still make it fit. And I paid Web Engineering to come out and give me an accurate reading in there, and I was still like 4.5, 5 feet away from the street, even with a smaller building. So they reconfigured that, and they put it, they come up with the dimensions, and then so I'm looking for a little closer to stay away from that utility pole. And my utility pole from that end of that line is all underground service to my house. So there's already piping in the ground, and all the cables been running in the ground for like 12, 14 years or so. And the addition went on years ago. So it's not only just moving the pole, I got all this underground service, and the expense for all of that is, it's gonna be way out of my budget to even consider moving that. And to be without power and service. She has a home office downstairs that requires internet and all that, so it's gonna disrupt that for I don't know how long. I didn't really approach moving the pole, because I talked to a few people, and they said well into the thousands, never mind. So between the property being dropped off and the 2 poles in the way, it's like I got another spot I can put it. The rest of it's all remaining wood, so there's good coverage in there and all that,
So what are you gonna use the garage for?
I got a little bobcat for snow removal for my neighborhood. I take care of a few people there to help out. And I got a small little trailer, like a 14-foot, like a small little car trailer, but it's got 2 axles to go get pellets for my pellet stove. And my vehicles when it snows.
It's just for your personal use?
Oh, yeah.
The garage is for your personal, you're not gonna run a business out of it or anything like that?
No way.
We have to ask,
Oh, yeah.
we need to
Comes
know. Yeah.
No, I get it.
We wanna get caught,
Nah, I got pictures.
We do have pictures
Of the
of
telephone
the actual
pole
pole in the
location.
middle of the
Can
yard.
we
If
see
you wanna
that?
look
Can
at
we
it
see
from
that
the plan.
first?
Yeah. It's from the old street that used to be there, and then they moved the street.
That's 2 poles on my property, one's way further away than this, it's no issue.
I can tell you, moving a utility pole is very, very expensive.
And all the underground.
It's beyond what you
services
think it's
already
gonna
there.
be.
What is the side setback on the right side of the house, do you know?
30 feet.
No, on the existing house now, from the house to the side lot line.
60 something?
This must be some,
From the original.
this is.
Yeah. Is this to scale? We got a ruler.
This was before the addition was put on, so you're asking from here to there,
Yeah.
60 point something?
And there's an addition there
You
now?
got a septic system in there.
Oh, so you have the septic system's on the side here?
The septic system's over here.
So you can't even put the garage, so you can't even put the garage there because of
Yeah.
the septic and leaching
Yeah,
field,
and then
so.
the land kind of starts dropping off, like right about here down to the pond. Everything kind of slopes from the street already.
You gotta be so many feet away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can be 30 feet from her lot line.
This might be the back of it. This might be flying, yeah.
But even so, you can't put the garage there because of the septic.
I tried
And
to
plus the
figure that
pole is
out.
in your way
Yeah.
anyways.
There's a pole over here too.
Yeah, it's-
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I tried to take
The
the
power
picture
line
so you
goes
can see
across
one
and I
pole
can't
and
be-
beyond to the other one. This was like
Okay.
an old road, used to be
Yeah,
road,
okay.
and
6 feet
the
from the
road out front, but they left that
One
pole
line.
and ran lines to those other ones. So we're stuck with poles in our
This is the one before I did the addition on. The addition's on this side. So that pole is like, maybe that, way I had it figured out, I was almost in the 50 feet. So I put my own little markers down, not being a surveyor. I didn't even have it square really. And when-
Thank you.
Yeah.
And when Webby came in, I was off by 4 feet, so I was at 40. I was at like 48 feet, and almost got it to fit, but then I was still questionable being underneath the power line too, so rules about that, electrically wise, you know.
So on the, is it gonna be one floor, or you're gonna have a
One
second?
floor.
You're gonna have a second floor building?
No, it's gonna be
You're
like
gonna have
a,
any heat in it?
I'm
Running
gonna
water?
have regular heat in that.
And running water?
What's the height of your?
No, because the septic is here.
Right. Well, that's, you were thinking the same thing I was thinking. It's like,
Yeah, but even if you put it there, the pole's in the way, plus you don't have enough of the side setback.
It's the same.
You can't put it in front of the house either. Actually, you need a variance to put it in front of the house.
I'm just, I'm just questioning the wires above the utility. Normally, they're gonna be at least 14 feet above the house.
14 feet above, from like the lower side of the A-frame?
No, from the roof, from the roof.
From the roof to that is 14 feet.
You better check the utility. That could be a real problem for you.
So from the roof peak to the wire.
Yes, so this is the peak of the, from, to the top.
Yeah.
So it could be like horizontal.
Well, from the top of the roof to the bottom of the wire, whatever that is. As soon as you touch the building, from the wire to where you can touch the building, there's at least, there's a distance. I think it's 14 feet, but you have to double check it with the utility. Don't put it up and.
Even if the building's far enough away.
The only thing you might be able to do is they might be able to insulate the wires for you.
Where is your electrical line going? Your electrical is underground?
From here
Just from the pole.
to the house is underground.
Underground, but
So it
from
goes
here-
under the ditch.
From here to the,
From here to this pole,
yeah,
and then they actually changed it. They
because
went
this
from
is,
pole
this,
to the
yeah,
street.
this is where your garage is gonna be, from this pole to this pole.
Yeah,
That's where the line is gonna go.
that's where it is
Yeah, you need
existing right now.
to find out what the distance from the peak of the roof to the wall.
Just check with the utility, because even if
You
we
might run
approve
into a
this
problem
and
with
the
that.
building up, they're gonna give you a problem. A lot of times what they can do.
What's that?
Garage is supposed to be behind the front.
I wasn't denied
Closest
for that.
point
I wasn't
of
denied
the,
for
I know.
that.
the eve
No.
to the wire.
Don't go there.
There's gotta be no windows.
It's the peak of the roof.
Alright, so it's-
If you're working on the roof, and you happen to
There's been others around town.
put something up, you're gonna grab that line.
It's,
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether it's from the eve or
run
not,
into
from
it is when the
the
petition
peak.
brings it up.
Just check with the utility ahead of time, because that's just what's right there.
14 feet.
What they can do is they can insulate the wire, they can put
Like a sheet over.
a sheet over them.
Alright.
They have done that, but double check it before you do anything. Don't put it up and have a problem with it.
That pole is my issue.
Yeah.
You were probably in here the last, when we were talking about the garage beforehand. So there's kind of two questions.
Yeah.
So there's a variance issue, which is what we were talking about, which is
The hardship.
what is your hardship that you can't put it in a lot where it's inside the zone, which looks like no matter what size garage you have, it doesn't matter. Like you can't put it anywhere.
Yeah, I tried,
Right.
I walked around, tape measures and everything else. I had, an old plot plan from before that, I got a 100-foot tape measurement, I
Yeah.
was pounding little sticks and I was just.
Well, plus you have the lake back there, which you can't, that
Yeah,
cuts off a whole
like I
piece.
said, it all drops down
Yeah.
probably 30 feet from the back of the house, so it's all useless
So-
land, really.
And then the second piece is the special permit about the size of the garage, so that's above the 884.
Yes.
Are there other, so I guess, and you kind of mentioned this already, what is the need to go above the 884 with the square footage of the garage?
Well, my son's vehicle, I have 3 vehicles, and I'd like to put the Bobcat in there for snow removal, so it'll be ready to go.
Okay.
Put the boat in there, get that out of the weather.
So it's storage for your cars and.
Yeah,
and,
I got a small bass boat too that's been taking a beating with just a cover on it, and sitting outdoors doesn't help it.
Are there other garages or like accessory buildings in the neighborhood like that?
There is one on Oak Place that's a lot bigger than that one. I don't know the dimensions, probably 40 by 60, 40 by 70 maybe. It's a steel building, like a Morton building.
That's big, yeah, it's bigger than that.
There's other houses in the neighborhood with garages, though.
There's 2 houses, there's unattached one, and the
There's
third
several
house.
detached and then several
Several.
attached.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guy across the street got a two garage attached with an apartment upstairs that belongs to the Calvary Baptist Church up the road. Next door's got a two car that's attached, so there's plenty of garages. And the newer house on the corner of Crystal Lake has a 2-car under. So they're all.
I'm familiar with the property. I've actually driven by it. You can see it drops off the back, the telephone poles in the yard.
Anybody in the audience want to speak to this petition?
What about the on-site?
On-site?
I'll make a motion to waive the on-site for petition 974.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Myself,
Yes.
Dan?
Tina?
Yes.
Tina.
And Tina? Tina?
Dinner break?
Softball.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Well, I think with the topography of the land dropping off in the back, the septic where that's located, telephone poles where those are located, financial hardship just to move those alone, I think he's got enough of a hardship. I don't see a problem with the size of the garage. Families grow, you collect more stuff as you age, you can always use more room. I'll make a motion for petition 974 to approve as presented.
Second?
Yes.
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 Dan?
Tina?
Tina?
Can I just ask a really quick question?
Sure.
Is there any issue with conservation? That's my only concern, because I know that they're very close to the lake, and I just want to make sure that we're not stepping on any toes as far as conservation.
Isn't far away from the road.
It's, yeah, we can ask, we can send a letter over and have them take a look at it, but it looks like the garage on the map is in front of the house away from the lake.
So we used to.
Okay, that was my only concern,
Yeah.
because I know that we've done a few here that have been very close to the lake, and that's just my only question, have we looked at that? But if, otherwise I'm fine with it, yes.
Yeah, it's actually in front of the house, more to the
Further away,
street,
right.
where it's way beyond the 150 feet.
We-
It's way beyond the 100 feet.
We got a question from
It's just if you have to worry about what's being built within 200 feet to a water source. If you're within 200 feet of it.
It's not a water source, though.
No, I mean like water. That's it.
You can't build within 100, though, right?
Have you heard of that, Peter?
That's a lot.
From the shoot from the lake to the garage.
Have you heard of that?
How far?
We,
It's gotta be a.
Mr. Chairman?
it's gotta be a-
So, but
Yes, Dan?
that's never been brought up. I mean, there's been,
They'll deal with that.
Conservation should be an issue.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with us.
This here is 150 to there.
if there was an issue, the building inspector would,
Approve it or not approve it, you know, that commission will approve it or not approve it. It's really not our issue.
I think we could probably, like,
Well,
send
no
this.
touchstone is 100 feet, so
Yeah.
he's further away.
I think it's not a zoning bylaw, but it's conservation wants to take a look.
Yeah, public hearing notice was sent to conservation.
Okay.
They've already received it, and I don't have any comments from them.
Alrighty.
so, motion passes?
Motion passes, yeah.
Yep, motion passes.
All set.
Thank you.
You're all set.
Check with the utility.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, make sure you do that for them. During the problem.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
You'll see Alana, she'll have information for you.
All right, thanks.
You didn't do anything, you just say there.
We're still going, all right.
Petition 975.
The Halifax Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, July 11th at 7:20 in the Board of Selectmen's meeting room in Halifax Town Hall, 499 Plymouth Street, Halifax, on the application by Robert A. and Kellyanne Haggerty Jr. for a special permit to build an in-law apartment to be located at 8 Christmas Tree Lane, Halifax. Said property is owned by Robert A. and Kellyanne Haggerty Jr. of 8 Christmas Tree Lane, Halifax, Mass. 02338, as shown on Assessor's Map 49, Lot 7C, Book 43419, page 256. The applicants are seeking a special permit to build an in-law apartment within their existing 1,300-plus square foot conforming addition, as this project would violate Halifax zoning bylaw, section 167(7)(d)12, schedule of use regulations. Area is zone residential. Petition number 975.
Who's here for 975?
Right here.
Come on up. Hi.
I'm Robert.
Nice to meet you. Hi. Tell us what you
We are building, 1,200 square foot addition, a little bit over, more like 1271. We are asking the board to approve an in-law. We'd like to have an in-law set up in it. We are moving our daughter and her family into the home. And this will give us the opportunity to stay in the home and be able to retire. My daughter and her family will take over the home, and my husband and I will live in the in-law.
Both the main portion of the house and the addition are at the same level.
Yeah.
The
It all
in-law
conforms
addition.
to the setbacks.
It does.
Yes. There will be shared utilities, heat, electric, whatever else we need.
You'll have shared living
Yes,
space?
shared living space.
With an open end that
Yes.
you can't close, so it won't become.
No, it will not be a two-family, it will remain a single-family dwelling.
It's also
We ask these questions.
I understand this, I do this for a living.
It's also being set up for handicap accessibility for us for later.
Much later.
Much later, hopefully, yes. Yeah.
What size is the addition?
The in-law would be 1271.
Is the in-law itself?
Yes, just the in-law set up, yes.
What's the square footage of the house?
The house is, right now, it's 2243.
That's greater then.
What's it?
It's greater, right?
It is all one level living.
Yeah.
So the addition, the entire addition is the in-law?
Yes.
Okay. And the original house is what,
22?
2243.
And the additions are 100?
Well, it's
Around 12.
1271 is what it would be.
For the addition.
Can't be
Does
greater
have
than
some
50%,
common
right?
space As far as the half bath and the entry area will be common space to both.
The half bath and the entry you said was common?
Yes.
Any other part common?
Yes, the basement is common.
What about the living area?
Living space?
Living area,
No,
you
living
walk
space.
in, you can walk in, it's all open that way. We will have a door into our entry, but it's not a exterior door, it's just a privacy door
So between the,
between her and me.
there's gonna be a door?
Yes.
That could be locked out.
Yeah, so,
You can't, you gotta have it open.
We can leave it open, that's not
That's
the
fine.
issue, it's just for privacy.
So the shared living space, it can't be a foyer, a bathroom, a basement?
It has to be shared living, like
living room or
a
dining room.
family room.
Well, essentially then, if you look at it, the living room area would be shared. I guess the only thing that would be separate would be the bedroom area.
Do we have a floor plan?
You do.
is there a shared Asia utility? I don't know if anybody asked.
Yes,
Yes.
it's all shared utilities.
All shared,
All
shared.
shared, yeah.
The question of the size, though.
Yeah.
I mean, currently the houses in the development, our house is one of the smaller houses in the development. Every other house in the development has a garage addition except ours.
Yeah, with this addition, it will not be the largest house in the development either.
No. The main portion of the living area basically is where most people have their garage currently.
So this is where you enter the,
You would enter actually from right here. Coming in, so this is
No, some of that one.
This is currently a porch. So you would enter in this way.
would you be able to share something in here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this whole area right here would be a shaded
Technically, it would
area.
all
Yes.
be open.
This whole
Yeah.
area would
Yeah.
be shared with the
Be open.
trees.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean,
The
that
only
bath
thing-
is part of the other, can be part of the other building too, as far as that goes.
So the heat, all the utilities are shared, so they
Yes,
are.
they are, yeah.
What is the original house compared to the, is this it? This must be it.
And this-
This is the original house here, and this is the addition.
Correct.
Right,
So is the addition start here?
It does.
yeah.
This right here is existing. This is gonna have to be bumped out, so this would be new, this part right here. But this right here, this section, this small piece is existing.
But there's a door here and a door here, so.
Those will both have
Currently,
to
that'd
be,
have to be taken out, and then I guess that wouldn't be there either. So this would all be open right through here. It is all on the same level. There's no step up or step down.
I think the intent of the bylaw is that at some point, if you guys, 30 years from now, didn't live there, sold the house, someone would put those doors back and then rent that out.
Right.
I'd have my hand down
The-
that.
I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Again, the utilities are shared, so
Right.
Yeah.
it's not gonna be separate.
The special permit for an in-law, is that transferable if this house were sold?
No.
yes,
So then, yeah, that couldn't happen. It
It's-
couldn't be
it's-
used.
the new bylaw is transferable.
Yeah,
It goes with the land.
it goes, yeah.
You do that in Halifax.
That was in the last change of it, right?
Yeah.
So it is transferable?
Yes.
Okay.
Special, this is amended as of May 14th, 2018, annual town meeting, Article 59, which is 167-712D, which is special permits for in-law apartments are granted to the property and are transferable with the land. So, conflict there, but that's the, what's that?
On the Halifax bylaws?
Yep, I just read it, yeah.
Because you have to get a special permit. They don't transfer with sale and any real estate deal. You have to go back.
They
and get a
definitely do,
special
yeah. You have a special permit for garage, it transfers with the
permit. It's
land.
different.
I'm reading it right from the town website. And we had a whole debate at town meeting about it. I remember that whole conversation too, because it's been very confusing for people.
I think the buyer of the
Okay.
house has to come up and renew it.
That's why you have to renew it every 5 years now.
Yeah, renew it without this
So
special
then
petition.
How would it transfer of ownership? I'm not arguing, it's just the way it is. That's how we sell houses in Halifax. They have to be sold with a reissuing of a special permit.
All right, that would be something that they would have to do at a later date. Right now, it's the bylaw.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
So what about the size?
This is already part of the house. Is this part of a patio or
Yes,
something that you have?
Oh.
Yes, it's a covered porch right
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
This whole is a wraparound right here, so this is a wraparound.
So this
porch all the
area
way to the side.
exists,
It
but
does.
it's officially part of the in-law. So this is actually now part of the house.
But
which
thi-
is
thi-
not.
this is just a farmer's porch in this area?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're
So-
extending the mudroom out and.
This exists.
From,
This bump
yes,
out.
this area.
This area right here exists. So this is the main portion of the house. This exists. They're gonna end up pulling this forward. So this covered porch would end up,
So your 1271, does that include this?
it does.
And it can't be greater than 50%? Is that what it is?
More than 50%.
It can't be greater than 50%, just off by 200 feet.
Last right, 1271 minus 22. On the 30 square feet. Which is that?
What was the house, 22,
2243.
2240 is 1120.
But the addition is 1,200, eh?
So it's 150 square feet too big. It's 150 square feet
So
too
if we
big.
were to,
So, in 2020, you approved one for 12,042 square feet on Thompson Street.
Wow.
We're asking the board to overlook ours and, or at least take that into consideration that the house on Thompson Street was approved 2 years ago, just under what we're asking.
And it's very likely because that house was bigger and that was under the, that was still under the 50%.
I think that house was smaller. It's a small cape.
It's a, I think I know, it's a cape. I don't remember the details,
Yeah.
but I thought there was something added on to the regular house. I don't know.
292 Thompson Street.
What is
There's
it?
more of that house.
292.
I think so. There was, without looking at the petition, I thought there was something more to it, but I don't remember. Is there any way you could squish it up a little bit?
How much?
150 square feet?
what is 150
150 square
divided
feet,
by that dimension there?
It just can't be greater than 50% of the original house.
So 150 divided by, I think it's about 28 feet of a
this, yeah, this is 28, 28 feet. You're almost taking like 5 feet off the length.
We could cut the bedroom down.
Correct, that's what we're talking about. So if we were to reduce it to get on that 150 square feet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's, so if the house is 2240, then you gotta be 1120.
Okay.
And the reason nobody's taking joy in this right now, I would love for you to
Yeah.
have the biggest in-law that you want, because it sounds like you
Well, it
deserve
it is that.
The
big-
issue is people come back
Right.
after the fact and appeal
understand,
these
yes,
decisions.
I do understand
And
that.
there comes the whole thing.
900 square feet is really small. And for two people to live in that space, I mean, I don't know, that's why we're asking for this. I mean, it's not very big, in my opinion, it's not all that big. You know, and you did approve the one on Thompson Street for just under what we are asking. I don't see that it is fair that you did that, but you want to, you know, at least consider this.
There must have been a reason that we
Well,
approved.
I mean, the house that you approved is smaller than mine. It's a small.
Could have been a reason, it could have been an error. Don't know.
We don't have the
Again, it was
application in
approved.
front of us.
Right.
What was the other?
My house?
No, the one you mentioned.
It is 292 Thompson Street.
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to print the decision letter for that? 292 Thompson?
Yeah.
Actually, hasn't.
But even with the decision, we don't know, we don't have a floor plan or
Decision's not gonna
anything.
have
It's not gonna have,
frontage.
no, but it's not gonna have the description of a floor plan or,
I have that, we have meeting minutes if you want to look at them.
What's that?
I have the meeting minutes on that meeting, if you want to look at it.
So the in-laws, they had an addition that was 24 by 36 and a 16 by 18 sunroom. The in-law was actually only 864 square feet of that in-law that they
For
had.
the in-law. Well, I mean, the in-law that I'm asking for is 24 by, what's it, 30? And then we're adding 18 by, whatever the bedroom is. So it's really not that much off from what that was. That could be cut back on the bedroom space.
Yeah,
it's up on the hill, yeah.
yeah. You knew there was more of that than that.
Yeah.
I mean, 100% honestly, I, from my perspective, I don't probably knowing these guys and everybody, I would love for you to have the extra 150 square feet. I know that if somebody doesn't like your addition, they can appeal it, and you
Yeah.
can be in land court forever
Okay.
because of 150 square feet, and that stuff happens. So, like, it's, we don't, now that it's out here in a publicly recorded meeting, I don't want to put you in that position and approve something that is very
Okay.
clearly against the bylaws, because people love to sit in these meetings and take notes and bring that up at
Okay.
a later date. And it's, and I don't want to put you in that position.
Okay.
So, am I wrong?
If we
No,
reduce
you're right.
it to 50% of the main, that square
Oh,
footage.
yeah.
Do we need
Yeah.
to come back to the appeals again?
Yes, I would
We'd
say,
have to continue to the next meeting.
We'll continue this to the next meeting. Any way you can shrink it, is that right in the air?
Yeah.
Not, where we're taking it away from the bedroom or anything like that, just a little bit
Well,
of this.
yeah.
Okay.
and the new plans also just have those two doors removed.
Yeah,
Yes.
take it.
But from my perspective, everything else seems to be perfectly acceptable. So I don't think there's anything else that's going to pop up that is going to be bad.
I agree.
Okay.
Fine.
Well, we're gonna continue this hearing until August 8th.
I'll make a motion to continue petition 975 to our August 8th meeting at, what time?
5 now, right?
7:05?
7:05?
7:05?
With a revised,
Okay, thank you.
Second?
Thank you.
Any second?
Second. Second. Oh, we're hanging out.
Jerry?
Yes.
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 That's all good. Van?
Tina?
Yes.
Tina?
Amy, I just looked that up on the town website. That's on the town side too.
Yeah, so every 5 years, you have to have that special permit reviewed, and if you don't answer the zoning board of appeals, then it can be.
Yeah, you just have to verify
that's what
that
I
you
mean,
check
like-
off all those boxes, but
What?
the permit still transfers. It
Only
just
if
gets
they,
dormant.
only if they, yeah.
If they come in
but
and
it's
meet,
with
oh, they have to fill out
conditions.
that form.
And yeah, and then they have to meet all the conditions as far as they're in, like whether or not they're relatives and all
Yeah.
that, so they're.
They just don't come in and
off the
apply
copy.
again.
But if it wasn't gonna be their in-law, like if they weren't gonna have in-laws in there, it would not.
Correct. No, that's correct.
So that's what I was stating, 'cause
Okay.
it's conditions to it.
Yeah, they don't have to come in and do this again.
No, not the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
It doesn't automatically transfer as what I meant.
Yeah, they have to come in and check and verify they meet all the conditions and stuff. Yeah. Are we good? Is that the end? Oh.
We got other business.
Oh, we
We
do.
need to-
Okay. So that's the end of the hearing?
You know,
There's something else? Yeah, we
That's
do
it for
have,
hearings.
other business, we have to close the 40B.
Well, that's Wednesday.
We have to do that, yeah.
well, you
Yeah,
guys
we
have
have
to
to
do
do
it.
it on Wednesday, right?
When are you gonna have to do it? You can-
Awesome.
Go ahead.
We can't do that now.
No, it's Wednesday.
All right, meeting minutes of June 13th, 2022. Anybody corrections, additions?
Yep, I read them, they look good.
Anybody wanna make a
I didn't
motion?
have a chance to read them.
You haven't had a chance?
No.
Oh, well, we can table it till next meeting?
Sure.
Yeah. Table it till next meeting. Correspondence? Planning board.
Did you accept the bills yet? Bills?
No, well,
Bills?
she's over the bills.
Bills, there we go.
I forgot to bring mine.
We got a lot of folders out here today.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Usually it's a different color, yeah. Inside the,
The yellow folder. Under the pictures. Yep.
That's right here.
mail.
No?
No, he uses it.
There you go.
That's more.
Yeah. This is good, this is good. Now, we put plans in here, threw me off. There we go.
Sign it over.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Do you need a motion for these, Arlene? I'll make a motion to accept the bills for the Plymouth and Halifax Express, 5 bills for $90 and an invoice for W.B. Mason for $15.88.
Second.
Bob?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Yes.
And Tina? Yes. And what you guys are here for?
Yes.
I don't know.
No guess?
Huh? No guess?
Just don't give it out. The property in Plymouth Street, parcel across from Clyde.
What's that?
The parcel across from Clyde, Westbrook.
That's not in front of us tonight.
It's the correspondence.
It's,
Of you?
it's a letter and that's,
Yeah, we wanted to see the plans and,
we don't have anything.
oh, it said that they'd be.
Do we have anything on it?
The plan.
It's not.
It says memos and site plans.
So the planning board sent
Did
them
you
to
guys
us,
approve it?
and they're looking for.
No, we have not been presented it, and we have not made any decisions on it. We've
We have
received,
nothing unless the planning board sends us something.
well, you should have a plan.
Amy, did you guys discuss it yet?
It says
No, we have
memos and
not.
site plans from the planning board.
That's coming up though, right?
That's.
The 21st?
It's fine. But it's being seen in front of conservation tomorrow night. And we've received letters from other boards, and we should be getting one from you regarding, because you should have the plan along, right?
Yep, it's right there. and
We
they'll-
probably have a plan, but,
We have nothing.
it's,
You
it
guys
hasn't
haven't
been
made a
approved, so we
decision?
can't approve anything on it.
Yeah, but you guys
Yeah.
can look at the plans
But it
and
was
send us
soon,
what
yeah.
you think would and would not pass based
Mhm.
on your experience. So that's really what you're supposed to do when you get a plan.
That won't be until next month. We have to, we gotta review it, right?
Well, yeah, but you guys can discuss it.
Yeah, but we're not gonna discuss it tonight.
I have questions myself. Would you like, I was gonna show up at the meeting and ask the questions, but would you like me to go through the board? I was just gonna do it personally.
You should send them in writing to us as well. You can, I welcome anybody to come to meetings, you guys know that.
But we have nothing from the planning board, so,
Yes, you do.
other than,
It's right in that yellow folder. It's the big folder.
Are they planning on joining the two lots, Amy? Do you know?
That's where we're.
Are they planning on joining the two lots?
We haven't been presented it, and it seems like yes.
They're owned by two
Oh.
different. On paper, it's owned by two different.
Is this on here?
Yep, go ahead.
Is it, is it something that you can tell us by looking at those plans what they are thinking about? I mean, it's all kinds of
This is probably a memo that you have.
All we have is a correspondence with
I think that they
92.
It looks like they want to do a two-story office building with parking on that lot and parking on the lot behind the red house.
And an auto repair, not an auto repair, an auto supply house too, another one.
What do you have, 9 acres there?
An auto supply? I thought, no,
They have
off,
9 acres.
His office, but he's also talking about an auto supply there going there too.
oh, really? No. Are you thinking down at Kasaya's place? This is across the street from the mobile station.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm in a butter.
You want to see?
01592.
You want to see what it looks like?
right across from Ohio Boston.
This?
You're thinking of the other one?
the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna put the,
This is Fido, right? So they're looking to combine, they're gonna keep this, then,
That's what it looks like.
and they're gonna go behind that house?
That's what it looks like.
Go to planning board for this.
So parking there, parking over there.
you know,
Because we got it first. And we wanted to see what they're proposing.
My question is, has anybody done any reviews of the wetlands, the water supply? Because I believe it's going to take.
That's not conservation to,
you have to go through all that.
How cute. Not have to look at that.
Here we go.
they have to.
And us.
See, we-
So conservation is meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen it. We have
It's
to
gonna
look
go
at
to
it.
planning first.
They have to go through the planning board first. Site
Right,
plan
but
review.
we just wanna get an idea of what
Everything
they're
that they have
proposing.
to
need to know if I
do is just go through the planning.
My kids would stay
All that should be
From the building inspector, you ask somebody,
So this is Davis
you make a decision for them.
right?
And this year has to go to the planning board for traffic study, for parking,
It's stupid. How many accidents have been there? Where's the traffic study? That's what I'm saying. The building,
Wetlands regulations, or you go to the state?
yeah, so this is parking. That's all. This is subdivision. This is a building. So it's not a very.
Well, they have to be so many feet away from wetlands that there is retention.
It's a lot of parking, but it's not a lot of parking.
I know.
So, but actually by the bylaw, they don't have enough parking. But by another section of the bylaw, they do. If they leave so much of the lot green, they have enough parking.
What is it, what are they proposing?
Retail, another drive for restaurants, it could be a McDonald's, you know.
Did they say?
No, I think,
Something in the middle?
I think it's office.
Right.
No,
I heard gas.
the one down by,
I was in the wrong.
the one down by Walmart, there's one proposed down there, but it's a drive-through restaurant, it's an auto parts store, and there was something else. Where Kasaya's building is, there's something proposed. Yeah.
And these are the plans, what the plans I'm showing you guys.
I think the issue, I don't think it's applied for it. Not everybody talks about social media.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not you. May I spin this and take a picture to take a-
Right, right.
May I spin this in my picture?
Yeah, I think it's, I kind of love it.
Tonight's meeting, it's very important to try to figure out what the heck's going on, but like.
Grass green, so they're trying to make it as green as
So
they
tomorrow
can.
night is.
No,
Yeah,
tomorrow night's conservation.
it's conservation.
Well, you can go to conservation and see what they have.
Proposed building, so do you see, can you see where it is?
We can't speak.
Maybe I don't want to go to the planning board.
I was getting confused with that one, yeah, because that's the guy that kept on calling and saying, he wants us to approve it ahead of time.
So who will, so zoning board will look at it, then it goes to planning board.
Everybody has to be.
It's right there.
They'll get our opinion.
She'll come down usually after they come to conservation and planning.
Oh, yeah,
If
yeah,
they
yeah.
need something from the bylaws, like a variance or anything in the bylaws, then they come to us. Parking, signs, that comes to us. But everything else goes to planning, conservation, all that gets done first, then they come back to us. Because we have to look at, when we look at it, we say, okay,
You
now
do.
you're looking for a
You
variance,
do, good, you?
for the side setback.
But you don't remember, huh?
setback, and then we
I
decide
remember.
whether that's good or
Oh, you do remember?
Yeah, I just.
That comes to us last.
She passed away.
Oh, God.
A year and a half ago?
Oh, my God.
Thanks.
That breaks my heart. Oh, my God.
You can't, hold on.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Cancer?
they can't do it here.
He was fighting it for, I don't know, 8, 10 years.
You gotta be at least
So,
100 feet
thanks.
from the wetland. And if they get a variance, they can go up to 50
As a
feet.
young girl.
Kind of,
My niece would love to speak to you then. She always calls me up, can you tell me some stories? I'm like, I don't remember anything.
I don't know
I
how
remember
much,
you just being
how
a
much
little brother.
and
Oh, really?
conservation to decide that.
These are on.
And planning to
It's
put the parking.
okay. We were in elementary
Every
school.
side of the building, you know what they're gonna put there, and if it.
And I worked with your brother too. And I worked with your brother. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So that starts right at our street.
Yeah, so Fido's, yeah.
It's already bad enough trying to get out.
What is this here? That's the house.
The house and the barn that's
I
there.
didn't think you were leaving.
Maybe not, I would see what they tell planning board.
Right, that's what I wanted too, because right now these parcels are in names. So we're wondering.
Yeah, the planning board is gonna do everything after.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna have to have, you know, like, the fire engine go through there, or, you know, safety.
We just wanted to get an idea
The whole
of
nine
what's going on.
before we
This
have
is a
a.
scary, scary spot. It really is. Do you guys know this area, right?
Yeah.
You know, my house is behind the steels. I
accident
can't tell
right
you
here,
how
4
many
times.
times I hear
All the time.
ambulances.
That and then the other end at 105.
Here and now, but then now they're gonna add a driveway right there, so that means people going like that, coming in,
Yeah.
get rear ended.
We're not ready for it.
Very real, parking lot.
Yeah, there's a residential house here. It's very, very. Okay, cool, thank you.
Okay.
You're still.
Still alive.
Good to see you.
You're welcome. Do we have another paper down there that we signed off
Good to see you.
With,
Same here.
Good luck with the chaos.
This is pretty chill, I'd say.
What is it? Do you guys go to planning board too, or you just do your own thing?
Try not to. I get enough going on. I know it's not.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
wow. Yeah, me too. Well then.
We're gonna do the country club estates.
No, that's Wednesday.
Executive session. We're gonna do the executive session. We're gonna go into.
We can.
No, we're gonna go talk about what the letter, what the questions we have to talk about and, right now,
Can you
we
hear
have
us?
to go into executive session to talk about the letter and answer the question. Excuse me, we're gonna be going into executive session.
Okay, so you guys can go ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
I guess there was some question whether we could or not. Did it have Pete speak on that?
Say that again?
Not sure if we can or not, which might be correct, yeah. We should probably talk about the lawyer's letter.
We're gonna,
The attorney thought something.
What happened with 48?
they withdrew without
They're
prejudice.
done.
But,
All right, because that's what I missed.
well,
We haven't done that.
that's Wednesday.
It'll be done.
No, we're doing that tonight. We're doing that tonight, yeah.
All right,
Thank God.
I thought I saw it on the discussion and I.
It is,
missed
yeah. They just redo it.
We have a meeting on the 20th at 5:30.
On the 20th?
File off minutes.
Good, very good, thank you.
Have a good night.
So before the executive session, the couple of states, they requested to withdraw. I did cancel the meeting for Wednesday, just because I thought if in their agreement that you could accept the withdrawal tonight.
Okay,
Yeah, we're just gonna accept the letter.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, are we just doing the 40B right now?
Yeah, do the 40B.
Can only be you and Bob and Dave.
Oh, no, we're good for now, we're just doing.
Get the 40B, yep.
Oh, you got it.
Huh?
We're doing the 40B.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. Okay.
You're officially recusing yourself.
I officially recuse myself for the 40B.
There you go.
We're now going, in other business, we're gonna discuss the 40B by Delphi Associates. And this is being recorded, and there's 3 members tonight.
Actually, we got two.
She's not involved at all. It's only us 3. July 7th, 2022, Town of Halifax, 499 Plymouth Street, Halifax, Mass. 02338. Attention ZBA Chairman. Read Country Club Estates application withdrawal. ZBA Chairman and board members. We are writing on behalf of our client, R&J LLC Country Club Estates. We are scheduled for the upcoming July 13th ZBA meeting. As you know, we have asked for several extensions in the past, and after speaking with our clients, R&J LLC, they would like to withdraw their application at this time without prejudice. In the event, they may proceed in the future. We would like to thank the board for their patience, time, and understanding in this matter. It has been a pleasure to work with you. Sincerely, Paul Cusson, Delphi Associates, LLC, Managing Member. Can I have a motion? A motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the withdrawal petition number,
Oh, yeah.
920.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 So, as far as the executive session, I spoke to Attorney Hudson today. He called. He asked me to clarify the executive session tonight because he originally thought he was going to be part of it. So I explained to him that that's what he wanted. However, he didn't give us a response until last week, and his response had several questions in it. So instead of me responding for you guys, Dan and Keziah thought that it would be best to discuss the questions together in executive session without the attorney first, and then if you want the attorney there, he could maybe come to the next meeting.
And the attorney was okay for
And
us?
the attorney, so when I explained that to him, he said, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, great, thank you for explaining. So this is just, I explained to him that this is just to discuss his email with the questions that he had. Because he won't attend an executive session until his questions are answered.
Which one of his questions is whether or not that even qualifies as an executive session?
Right.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm having trouble with hearing, those last two comments, if you just give me a synopsis.
He didn't hear what I said. He just wants you to speak louder.
Speak louder.
What's that?
Speak louder.
I can't hear a lot.
All right, let's speak a little louder.
Oh, you have a mic, that's why.
I know.
Yeah,
Dan, can you hear me?
probably not.
Dan,
No, I really can't.
Well, you can just tell him what I said.
Yes.
Summarize.
So the lawyer basically said, talked to Arlana today and said that, I should have left Mike. And said that, tell me if I'm incorrect, said that he didn't want to be part of the executive session until we answered the questions in the email that he sent. And he figured out that our
So he
goal today is to talk about what those issues are.
He now understands that your executive session tonight doesn't include him, it's just to discuss his email with his questions. And he was okay with that.
But and what I said is one of his questions is whether or not this even qualifies as an executive session.
Right, the part where he would be involved in it. But I think Dan and Keziah felt that talking about the email should be an executive session, but that's obviously up to you.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Maybe the right way to go about this, just throwing it out there, instead of going to an executive session, I really can't hear what's going on too well, but from what I'm gathering, the attorney said it was okay to, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
In lieu of that, would it be better, since we were already, all of us were approved by the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, to speak with the attorney? Maybe it would be better if we started this with having the attorney come in and speak with us and maybe have a more focused, maybe it's better to be done in public.
Yeah, I'm assuming this has to do with the ethics emails that we got from Ashley. So, I mean, I guess on that specific point, I wasn't here at the last meeting because I had a schedule conflict, but part of what I'm gathering from that email that I read was that a member of our board, is this the email that you got, Alana? Tell me if I'm misstating this, that a member of our zoning board of appeals had a personal conversation with the town attorney on an ethics violation about Keziah and an ethics violation about me that stemmed from someone reposting a Facebook post that I had put up about a school committee campaign that I lost. So and then there was some sort of stretch with a lawsuit that person that reposted a Facebook post had levied against someone about the building inspector, which had nothing to do with the petition. I have to be honest, from my perspective, with the cameras on, in front of all of the members of this board, and Marlene isn't here with us today, but I don't know her very well, so I don't know how she would put that all together. But from my perspective, I think it's important to say to this board that I have no reason to have had any undue influence or financial or litigation. I have no litigation that I currently have against the town. I can't foresee any ethics violation out of what was described in that email. I would love for the attorney to come here in a public meeting to explain to this board why they had a conversation with one member of our board and did not, then wrote a public email that anyone can file a FOIA request and read, that made an assumption on my ethics violation regarding a Facebook post that someone else I never even spoke to reposted on the town website that I'm not even a part of. But more importantly, I'd like him to explain why he would not have a conversation with me about that, or why it was okay for the town attorney or for that one member to have a conversation about my ethics and not inform me. And I would also like, if that member is here tonight and would like to discuss those ethics violations about a Facebook post and what they were concerned with and tell me what my issues are, I would love for them to do that right now. Who is the member that did that?
Well, I would suggest that we answer the questions that the lawyer wants us to answer. And when he comes here, we can find out the whole.
We absolutely.
I think the lawyer has
What?
I think the lawyer has questions he needs to answer for us.
That's right.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
let's do it,
if we-
let's do it publicly.
If we answer his questions tonight amongst ourselves and discuss them, then we put it out to him, so for him to come here, then we can put him on the hot seat and say, hey.
I think we should do it publicly because there's people that are doing stuff behind the scenes and pointing fingers at us saying we're doing things wrong. I think we should do it publicly.
So I'm sorry, Bob.
No, go ahead, Dan.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, I guess, like, the attorney can explain all this, right? I would love for the member of the zoning board, instead of having private conversations with the town attorney that our taxpayers are paying for, having one-on-one conversations without a motion from the board or a discussion with the board on their own behalf, discussing what ethics violations I might have. Say in this meeting right now what the issues are. Who contacted the attorney? Can they say that publicly? Because it wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't
Wasn't
me,
me.
anybody on Facebook.
Alana?
Wasn't me.
Because what it also seems like to me, and I'm gonna put it right out there, because I find the farce of a Facebook post creating some sort of litigation ethics violation about a yard sign dispute. I find that to seem very clearly like they were trying to muddy the waters to get 2 out of 5 votes to be questionable if they were going to appeal some sort of decision in the future. And to employ the town attorney who's getting paid with Halifax tax dollars to muddy the waters on a petition that could potentially put a resident at a $300 a day violation based on whether or not they were political signs or not, which I wasn't even there for the decision. But to try and muddy those waters, if there is a member of this board who is doing that on behalf of someone, they should publicly say it and not have private conversations with the town attorney. If someone has an issue with my ethics, they should send me an email or come to this meeting or in this moment right now, say something. Instead of using my tax money to try and have some sort of side conversation that is apparently protected by attorney-client privilege by the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, can't inform me of that either. So I don't know what's going on here. I can tell you, I had no ethics violation that I could possibly conceive in that petition. I also wasn't present for it, nor did I vote for it, and the decision is made. But more importantly, I would love to find out, I don't know if we need an executive session. I think the town deserves this to be a very public conversation. If there's a member of this board who is using our town attorney to wage all sorts of weird accusations on people to try and muddy the waters on a petition, because I can't see anything else but that being what this was, especially after I watched the hearing that happened in here. The amount of vitriol that happened during that conversation was unusual, and in these times, that's saying something. But I don't know what the protocol is. I would love the attorney to explain exactly what that is, and I would love to get an answer on who can have these private conversations and just wage ethics violations on people. Because it doesn't seem to be reasonable to me. And Tina just
Mr. Chairman?
So.
Yes.
I have to, upon hearing what Peter said, I have to agree with him. This should happen in public. And what Bob said, I want to echo that I think the attorney has to answer some questions, just so the public knows what we're talking about. The response we got from the attorney basically was, oh, this anonymous member who we can't find who it is, you shouldn't be asking those questions, but here's my answer. Well, if the person's not supposed to be asking the question, why did the attorney give an opinion that would seem to sway the vote one way? I find it, I don't know the right word, but why I asked the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Ashley DeCesso, who the anonymous person was. She said that's attorney-client privilege. Really? So people can use my tax dollars and everybody's tax dollars to get given out in the public email, as Peter's already said. So there's a lot of questions for the attorney. I have a ton of questions as far as the conduct of Ashley Assessor. And why can't we know the name of the person? And again, this all feels very coordinated. And not just this issue, but other issues. So we need, and I think it should be public to find out what course of action we can take as a board, legally, to stop this nonsense. Because clearly the town, this is bad for the town. You know, we can't do business. We get waylaid every other month by certain people, and it's just really going to stop. And I think, and the major point here is, we don't need to answer any questions. We were already told by Ashley Assessor that each individual member of the board could seek out counsel by the attorney, so we should save the taxpayers a lot of money and just have them come and do it one time with all of us sitting in a room at our next meeting.
We've
already given permission.
I don't think we should follow that, each one of us go to the attorney. We should discuss this tonight and answer the questions, and at the next, if the attorney comes here, we can have it as an open session. And like Peter said, show us, tell us who is accusing us as a board, or as a, you know, like, they picked out two of us to put on the, you know, that we're in ethics violations. I have no interest in any of these petitions that come in front of us. I'm not getting paid for it. I have nothing to gain. Come and tell us what's going on. Because as a board, we've been operating as a board for a long time, and none of this has ever happened. And before, we used to pick a member out of the, you know, member would want to join the zoning board. We would recommend the member to the selectmen, and the selectmen would say yes or no. Now it's changed. The selectmen are picking the members for the zoning board. That's not right. And that's changed in the last 3 or 4 years. And I would love to sit here and discuss this whole thing and present it to the lawyer and have the lawyer come here and have it in an open session instead of executive session. Let the town people know what is going on with this thing, you know?
I agree. It has to be open.
It has to be open.
Executive session keeps everybody in the dark.
Right.
And this is something we can't leave in the dark.
I mean,
It's got to be opened up and know what's going on. Especially we need to know what's going on.
Well, that I think is the main concern is the lack of transparency of what happened in regards to this, and the fact that there's a member of this board who's operating and having conversations about petitions and about ethics violations and having that conversation with probably a pretty expensive lawyer at the cost to the town of Halifax, you know, for what seems like it might be connected to a certain angle of specific petitions. And I doubt the lawyer is aware of that and is just trying to give us a rational answer to an issue that was brought to him. But I also find it pretty telling that we're all here and no one is saying that they had a concern about the ethics violation or they spoke to the lawyer. Nobody's saying
for the lawyer to answer that person, the lawyer's at fault.
And listen, there's probably a lot of things that I would love answers to that I don't know.
I would
but what I do know is that there is a member of this board who had a private conversation with the town attorney about a petition and about members' relationships to that petition. And that person, even tonight when I said, say it, no one is saying it. So either it didn't happen and we are being deceived, or, which I doubt because we have emails from lawyers that respond to it, or a member is operating outside of our meetings, which has never been the case.
Do we have an email from the attorney stating that a ZBA member contacted him? No, we have one from the selectman stating that.
Yeah, I don't know what the lawyer's email said.
From the town attorney, the fourth question, he asks if you could identify the member.
But any of the previous emails between the selectman and the attorney, it never said it came from a zoning board member. The attorney never said that. That came from the selectman.
Correct.
Yes. So, are we being deceived?
I don't, it seems, I mean, I don't know.
Do you have the questions that we can answer them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read them? You guys have them.
Sure, yeah, I can, so the first one is, this is the July 6th email, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What's the purpose of the proposed executive session, but I think we're not interested. I did review the 10 reasons for executive session, and I'm not entirely sure that this
Yeah,
falls under that.
I did the same. I
Right?
don't
And I'm not
see that
sure it's a
fits.
stretch. I also don't think we need to. So that I think the first question is kind of null and void, right?
Hmm.
The second one is what is exactly meant by protocol? And I guess, you know, who would...
What is proper procedure?
Suggestion, maybe we're looking for legal, the legality of what happened. Can somebody be anonymous? Also, open meeting laws. We're looking for, in the course of events of what happened, has there been any violations? It certainly doesn't smell right to me.
But what is a proper procedure? Is it typical procedure for a member to contact the attorney?
Right.
So the protocol.
It's not. We've
No,
never done
no. So
that. It's weird.
On
That's-
behalf of other board members, he stated that in the letter. And then he didn't go and ask the principals involved.
Yeah, that's a whole conversation.
You know, all he said was based on the facts presented. Well, that's pretty thin.
So the protocol, I believe, and I could be wrong, about if this is what he's referring to, but the protocol for contacting an attorney on behalf of the board. We were told last year by the former chair of the select board that we had to fill out a request to contact the attorney, send it to Ed Thorne, who's the or whoever the town administrator is, and he, I believe, discusses it with the selectmen. He will sign off on it whether they believe that we can, whether they approve it or don't, and they send it back to us, and then we are usually able to contact the attorney. However, in this case, none of that happened. I just got an email from, I believe it was an email from the chair, the current chair of the selectmen, from the attorney. I think she forwarded it. And I didn't even know what it was, because I never got a request from any of you, so.
It's always been the chair that
yeah,
was
yeah.
always, you know, talking to the attorney, and he'd bring it back to the board.
Yep.
What happened?
Right.
In preparation for a meeting. I just,
That's the protocol.
Right.
It has to go from the chair to the
I
selectman.
mean, as a board, we have a line, tell to the selectmen, then comes back to us, then the chair would be able to talk to.
Then that's the way it should be. So nobody is calling the attorney and spending the taxpayers' money.
I guess the specifically to your point of this approval process that has never really been the case in the past, I guess how has this process
Changed.
taken place? If anybody can lob an ethics violation, people probably do it in a farcical manner all the time, I'm sure. Similar to this one, Facebook post. But getting access to the town attorney to get a quasi-opinion on other members' ethics violations is something that is the protocol I would like to get the answer to. And how is that interaction on behalf of the zoning board? They weren't a member of the community asking to access. If this person was not on the zoning board of appeals, they wouldn't get access to the town attorney to ask about my ethics violations. They would probably send a letter to the zoning board of appeals claiming that I had some Facebook ethics violation, and that because someone reposted something I wrote, that it's some sort of criminal activity or something like that, which is ridiculous. But more importantly, why did this person get access? And what is the protocol for someone to be able to use the town attorney to be able to do that. And if that's the case, I would be on this board seeking the attorney's advice on what we should be doing about a private member on their own, seeking the advice of town council to affect the results of petitions as they come up. Because it certainly seems like that's what happened here. And I don't, and either a board member has done that and is not saying it, which makes it much more suspicious, or it didn't happen as it's been portrayed to us. But I would be surprised by that in all of the public interactions that have happened because of this. So, and
Mr. Chair?
Good, sorry.
Sorry, Pete.
No, go for it.
Yeah, kind of in line with that, why are all the responses from the attorney filtered through the Board of Selectmen, especially Ashley? And why is she protecting that person? She's not giving up that name. And she's saying, oh, this is executive privilege. I didn't know she was an attorney. So these are the questions we need answered. And I actually wonder if things, legally, things were done incorrectly here. And we have to get answers to all this. It's very difficult to answer his questions as far as I'm concerned. It's a very broad, a lot of things happen, which again, I'll reiterate, makes it seem very coordinated. So we need to almost walk through the whole issue with the attorney and what happened and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. But I find it kind of telling and kind of disturbing that the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and I want the public to hear this, denied my request who was the person who used the town attorney on behalf of the zoning board to seek legal advice on the ethics of other board members, which the attorney clearly said in his letter they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, so
but he answered the question anyway.
Ashley's email said to Arlana, and we were included in 16 other people, a board member emailed council on their own with myself CC'd. From their council asked if they could proceed, and I approved, given the date of the next meeting. And then you asked for the email.
After they already contacted
right. So
the attorney.
And apparently that one-on-one conversation was approved. And
if this person had filed the paperwork asking for use of counsel, we wouldn't have to go through all this because we could just ask for the document.
And then Bob asked for Ashley to forward the email in question, and her response was that I cannot because it included the attorney, which I believe is client-attorney privilege. If any of the named members feel they have a conflict, they can speak with counsel. So I did not know that I was named in this until that email came from the attorney. So at that point, it's just bizarre to me how this all went down. I guess the protocol question is, how did this happen, and what is the process for this to happen? I don't know.
How many questions are left to answer? The first one is
they're all kind of the same.
we're not going to have
So,
executive session.
Number 2 is what's meant by protocol. Number 3 is, does the guidance sought concern a specific factual situation? If so, please describe the specific facts involved, including the facts of when a board member does not follow protocol. And 4, does the guidance sought concern a specific board member? And if so, identify the board member. And he is the only person who knows who the board member actually is.
We can't answer that
So
question.
that's the way you put it back. You know who the person is. We don't.
Right. That's the point.
Frankly, I'm surprised he doesn't know what we're asking about, but it's all on YouTube. But I mean, he's got a lot going on, I'm sure. But
He's part of the process. Of course he knows what's going on.
we also got told that there was no record of a written request for legal services.
We didn't write it.
So there was an email on their own, and then there was no request.
So the question is, do we have access to that?
Correct. And there was no legal request filed, and it was approved. So I'm wondering how it was approved and why that process. And I guess a great protocol question to get an answer to is, can we at any point, under any circumstance, have a conversation with the town attorney about a petition or a matter that comes before the board without having the express approval of the Board of Selectmen?
So our answer, I guess, is well, we need a face-to-face discussion with him to discuss what's been laid out by the Board of Selectmen's protocol to use town council. We need to talk to him.
And specifically, like his response in his email is, in our opinion, it is possible the facts we have been provided could create the kind of appearance of impropriety. That's what he writes.
And that was and that email was used
And his point was made based on the facts that I should not be able to participate in a hearing because I was backed for school committee by someone on social media who's currently suing the town. That constituted an ethics violation that we wasted money of the taxpayers of this town for him to say it creates an appearance of impropriety. And I would like for him to come to the board and explain how that process unfolded, why a single member of the board was able to present that without filling out the process to get approved, and why he believes that he should make that opinion without ever letting the board know before we acted. If I had shown up and not seen that email, because it was never sent to me by anyone, if I had shown up, I would have no background based on his opinion because it was sent to the Board of Selectmen. And so those are all the process. And I still yet to have a member who has in this meeting, and maybe it was Marlene, she's not here, and Tina hasn't said anything, I don't know, but we have yet to have a member who is claiming to be the board member who had this conversation with the town council, which adds an element of bizarre mystery to this entire thing, where we are, and it's not just a cute moment. Tax dollars are being spent on lawyers to affect the result of a petition somehow. And we should get the answers as to how this happened, because it's not fair.
We should get the answer.
And I hope people watching this meeting realize the reason we're laboring, well, what's the word? We're staying on this subject is this is the kind of thing that's been going on, particularly against this board. But in other places, you go to town meeting, you go to certain meetings, you can't speak. There's been a history of this nonsense going on that's cost the town a lot of money and a lot of good employees. And this has, which one of us really wants to serve on this board anymore? I mean, after being waylaid, the disgusting, vile people, what they did at that last meeting, I'm still beside myself over it. There's other things going on at town hall right now. That's not my thing to say, but all I can say to the public is we're belaboring this, we're staying on this because we have to get answers. And I find it very interesting that we're kind of having trouble speaking to an attorney. We have the permission, Ashley gave the permission. If we just request him to come, he should come. But so we can get out of here. Have we answered the questions? Do we have something Alana can put in writing?
Well, I mean, I think overall you have. But I think if I come up with the answers and then I send them, like using your words, and then send them to you guys before sending it to the attorney, would you guys be okay just kind of saying that?
Why don't you attach the minutes of this meeting? Like very honestly,
Like-
the
like-
available information is there for him. And I know he wants it in a concise manner, but
I can include the link and just timestamp exactly where to start watching for him.
or just come to our meeting and have a 10, 15, 20 minute
We need him
conversation.
here to come to answer all these questions.
He has to be here.
He has to be here to answer, to put this matter to bed and move on as a zoning board members. We need to have this put to bed and get it right.
And this is also answers I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said, wow, what went on there? What's going on? What's happening with the town? A lot of people, a lot of residents are very interested in what the heck happened here. So, and people deserve answers because this is just wrong.
Alana, I think you know what we've said, and you know how to put it together in a nice, compact way.
Yeah, would it be okay if you guys just like, just one of you at least just respond and said, Lakeland's good, because I just,
Definitely, yep.
this kind of stuff when it has to do with, you know, the attorney. and
He's gonna ask some
insurance.
questions, yeah.
Yeah.
And Alana,
Just needs to show.
Yeah?
I would make mention of Ashley's email that allows each board member to contact him, and we just feel, and please, I don't speak in attorney, so let me know, but it's much better if we all meet in public with him one time, but we all do have permission to speak with him, according to Ashley, even though we didn't fill out the paperwork.
Well, I can also attach the email communication right from the start. I mean, I think he's pretty much copied on most of them, but, you know, the whole chain of those emails I can just attach as well as answer the questions.
I think we should ask every board member to say what they want. I want him to be present here so he can answer all these questions for us and to put it to rest and get on with the zoning board, you know,
Business.
business.
Yep.
And we should make a motion to vote on it.
Do you want to invite the attorney here for the
Yeah.
next meeting?
I don't think we should vote on anything. I think we should just write a letter. I think if we vote on it, we're gonna be called out that we shouldn't have voted on it.
We already put a
Because
request,
it's not,
we already put out a request for the attorney, so maybe that's good enough.
that's good enough, yes.
And it's a public meeting, not executive.
Right. So that's.
And it's not a hearing, so this is just a new business, so I don't think it's appropriate to vote.
Alright. Hopefully he'll show up next month.
That's me.
Yeah.
Still no board member wants to own that? Just throwing it out there. I'll keep asking. No? Yeah.
Are we all okay with this?
I am.
Do we have to sign on the acceptance letter for the 40B?
Well, I just used the email that they sent as the withdrawal.
That's fine.
Yeah, but to accept the withdrawal, I do usually write a letter to them. Do you want me to let you know when that's done?
That's fine. I just didn't want to miss anything that we have to give you, that's all.
I'll write the official letter to send them.
Okay,
And then I'll let you know you can sign. You probably could wait till next
that's good.
month anyway.
That's good, yeah.
Well, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Dan?
I'm not voting.
Tina's got something.
Absolutely.
Tina?
Tina.
Motion to adjourn, Tina?
She's still there?
I don't know.
Just hang up on her.
She's still here. She's muted.
Oh.
Good to go. I'd say.
Well, we have 4, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Good night, Dan.
Adjourned.
Right.